Kia ora, welcome to Politics from Canterbury, a parochial, not particularly well watched but lovable podcast. We're joined today by Liam, a history student, a history teacher, an English teacher, just a general teacher of life, and Will Hall here, a young man, but also a strategist in top. We'll introduce yourself, mate.
I'll give my disclaimer here first. So, formerly, I interned in Nicola Willis's parliamentary office. Currently, am leading the strategic end of the the Opportunities Party 2023 national election campaign, and advising Raf Manji, the Opportunities Party leader, which is all very exciting.
Thanks for bringing the poster. And
Yes.
we're not only in Ireland,
Yep.
we're straight out of Ireland.
Yep.
Myself and Will attended a debate last week, which had basically the Ireland candidates. Raf did all right. He's doing better than Shane Jones in Northland. If I was an optimist, that's how I'd be pitching it.
Yep.
But he's not quite up there with Hamish Campbell, the national candidate. What are you guys doing to get yourself back on track?
Well, look, I think Raf's campaign is going great. For a non-parliamentary party, we have done something everyone sort of laughed off. A year ago, it was, how do you pronounce Elam? As the Aucklanders like, it's Elam. And who's this Raf Manji? What's he doing? Now, look, we've got 5 weeks till the polls close. We have a lot of optimism in the Manji campaign, as I see Twitter referring to us. Our internal polling shows it a lot closer. We think on the day, people are voting for change. And, Raf winning here in Ireland, and along with us getting, say, 2.6% of the vote, will allow us coattail MPs in and give us a bigger block, which will secure either of the bloc's ability to govern over the next 3 years.
I'm going to throw something at you.
Yeah.
And it's another Canterbury thing, because we live in Canterbury and we love this place.
Yes.
But I followed the mayoral elections last year, and there was a poll out and it showed David Meats was around 20% and Phil Major was around 50%.
Yes.
And then that ended up with, I think it was more like the final result. Phil Major did still win, but it was more like 50-48%. So
I think there were 1,000 and something votes in it on election day. Look, we know that the TPU phoning up 400 people is never going to be that accurate. It's hard on an electorate level to do that. I think, what I hear on the doorstep, what the internal polling shows, what other polling that's been unreleased from national shows, is the race is a lot tighter, especially between Raf and Hamish. I mean, I think they're the only two candidates to watch in this election.
You don't think that the viewers at the debate thought, what about if we get all the votes from Sarah Pallett, all the votes from Raf Manji, and we add them in to Mike Davidson from the Greens? That's unlikely. I'm a political novice.
Yeah.
Unlikely.
Well, look. To quote Sarah Pallett, Raf is stealing her votes. To quote Hamish Campbell, Raf is stealing his votes. So they both seem to think he's stealing their votes, and that's just how democracy works. And I think on the day, with such high undecideds in all of the polling, it's about over a quarter of people don't know who they're voting for, or even in that TPU one, there was 11% voting for candidates who aren't running, or parties that aren't running candidates in the election. So on the day, there will be as of right now, 6 people you can vote for. I'm pretty sure Raf's going to get a fair few of them. And, look, we've got 2017, we got 23 and a bit of percent of the vote. I think we can only go up from there, and it's going to be, highly competitive.
Well, I just want to talk about very briefly, and we'll get some national issues in. But this could be the last big Ireland debate we're having on this podcast. There was a lot of issues, and given all the vote stealing you've just alluded to, it's lucky that Law and Order was one of them. But that debate wasn't really about local issues, and that's the flaw I felt with it. It was all about national issues with backbenchers giving their party political views.
Yep.
Do you think to succeed in Ireland you need to make it more about local issues? If so, what are they? When I ran, it was grass booms. People were very upset about their grass booms.
Yes.
Glyphosate.
Yeah.
Glyphosate? grass berms. Well, actually, I was running on an anti-glyphosate thing, but I lost the local election, so that wasn't the biggie. Sam McDonald just came out straight up and said he was against Three Waters, 5,000 votes like that, and he's a friendly candidate.
Yep. Look, I think for a lot of people walking into the voting booth, it's, do I know any of these people? What are they going to do for me? That is the big issue. Now,
but in Ireland, it's much
door
more
knocking.
local. Yeah.
It is the Three Waters. It is part of that issue, along with Coronation and how the two of them intermold. Now, both the Opportunities Party and National are opposed to the current Three Waters reforms in their current position. I guess for a Christchurch and for the Island voter, it will be on the day which one has come out more strongly against the chlorine being in the water. I think that will decide the vote, because for Cantabrians and people in Christchurch, we're very proud of our water. It's amazing quality. As we were saying before the show, post-earthquakes, no waterborne disease anywhere in Christchurch. Post-earthquakes, that's really impressive.
And you're playing cricket, and they've just closed the filling station, and I'm not a water fanatic, but it made me a little sad, and I wrote a great article anyway, on Scoop about the water.
So. Yeah. Now, look, I think Hamish's signs say we're going to get Ireland back on track. Well, I think Ireland's pretty well on track as it is. I think things are going pretty well here. It's a great place to live, and it's why so many people want to live here nowadays. The issue fundamentally is about, should central government decide what chemicals are in the water, across the country? And I think for a lot of people in Christchurch, the question of, is the water safe with or without chlorine? Well, the answer to that is yes, it is safe without chlorine. So they would ask, why is it still in there? And I don't think central government have a good answer to that.
Well, I tell you, just want to finish with this. Central government has a water regulator called Tamata Arawai. The head of that used to be a batsman in my cricket team. Alan Pragnell, if you're watching this, come down, show me how to play the straight drive, and give some answers to the public of Christchurch. Okay, that's enough local. For those 10 people still watching, let's get on to some more national issues. Rather than looking at all the launches this week, I want to go deep into the world of Twitter, because if you're sick of TV3, TVNZ and mainstream media, and you're a little bit conspiratorial, that's not us, we're just looking at that. I like my Twitter, and I've got a couple of Twitter stories here. Just a quick round of Twitter stories. Number one, James Shaw, and does James Shaw have a Bachelor of Arts? Ian Wishart of the Wine Box fame thinks maybe he doesn't, based on the fact that James Shaw, in a 2015 Herald article, said he'd pretty much given up on the BA, didn't finish it. But according to Ian Wishart, we'll put some images up, James Shaw on his LinkedIn says he does have a Bachelor of Arts. Thoughts? Does
James Shaw run his own LinkedIn?
Yeah. Oh, maybe when he put the Bachelor of Arts, he meant I studied, and he forgot to put I studied for a BA, couldn't be bothered, but I was at Victoria University for 4 years.
Well, it's probably something similar to your relationship status on Facebook. He's just forgotten about it.
Well, there's tens of thousands of people, and it was on not mainstream, it was on Sean Plunkett's The Platform this morning. Maybe, and we still haven't heard from the Greens. Maybe the Scoop political podcast will get us there. Maybe the Greens will answer.
Maybe you should ask James on.
Maybe not after this particular podcast. No, in a week or so. Yeah.
In a week or so, you're
Okay, so anyway, James Shaw and his BA. The other one is Thomas Cranmer. I follow. It's not actually a 16th century bishop. Well, anyway, Thomas Cranmer. It's a nom de plume. Thomas Cranmer is a lawyer. It turns out, called Philip Crump, and he basically does lots of OAAs and basically looks at how the media operates in New Zealand. So we're probably unlikely to read about him in the mainstream media. But he was talking about how TVNZ got funding from ICA, and then they ran some ICA specials. Did people follow that?
No, I had no idea.
I hadn't really heard about it. I think over the last few years there's been a lot of controversy around how the media has been funded by central government. post-pandemic. A lot of that funding is really necessary. I think, though, in some circumstances, NZ On Air has just been trying to get money out the door, and often maybe the outcomes that investment's been made in aren't so clear. And I think in this case, it might be one of those examples where quite a niche story or series of stories has been funded by quite significant New Zealand On Air funding. And I think you'd need to go and look at the model overall as to how we could better get bang for our buck as a country.
Well, if you are interested, Thomas Cramner on Twitter or X. And lastly, but definitely not leastly, my old buddy Clint Smith, sort of former Labour advisor, former Greens advisor, but he's taken, I find his stuff really interesting. And he just made some comments about, I'll put my glasses on for this, he made some comments about Christopher Luxon and National's ad. And in it he goes, I like where he goes, it could be so much better. This is the best country in the world. This isn't as good as it gets. Does that actually even make sense?
Not really, no.
No.
So we're the best country in the world, but it could be better.
We're the best. Oh, thank you.
I've translated into
English.
English.
Best country in the world. It could be better.
Best at what, though, would be the question.
I hear homelessness is we're quite good at that. Child poverty,
crime, ram raiding. Okay, so we're going to get better at all.
Okay,
of this.
that's glad to hear. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much, there, Liam, William,
2 cents.
or Will Liam.
Yes.
But we're going out with Winston Peters. This is my favourite Twitter. This is about 100,000 views of potentially the next Prime Minister.
A man in a rodeo.
Yeah.
To govern a country, you need experience. And this is not our first rodeo.
Lovely.
Thanks, Winston.
You can always rely on Winston for some comedy gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that some of my alt pop came up when I paused that. There was a bit of I think maybe the Human League. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know how you watch those videos? Like, oh shit, what are I watching?
What you watch in your own time is up to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.